All right. You know what it is. You know who it is. We're back. Episode 33 of the Fight Cast. Happy birthday to Jake. How old are you, Jake?
39.
39. Life's
Big
best
39.
years are ahead of him. Got
Yep.
a lot of stuff working
I'm in
and
my physical prime.
hitting his physical
I'm in my
prime.
I'm in my physical and sexual prime.
I was just watching, speaking of both of those, I was watching Ric Flair, 30 for 30.
Yeah.
Dude, he is a savage. He is
Yeah.
absolutely. He said he drank 10 beers and like seven margaritas or martinis a day for like 10 years.
Man.
And he said he's been with over 10,000 women. It's
Yeah.
insane. Woo! But
Sounds
anyway,
like a lot of honestly, it sounds exhausting.
it really does.
Sounds like a lot of work.
But episode 33, happy birthday to Jake. If you guys are in the LA area, check out Immortals Boxing, which is going to be opening in September. A lot of cool stuff. Follow it on Instagram. We'll shout out the Instagram at the end too. If you want to get your boxing on, we're gonna have some cool stuff coming forward in person in LA and online through some cool stuff. I think we'll get into that in the future. But we got a lot of fight news, UFC stuff, boxing stuff. There's a good weekend of UFC for being a fight night. A lot of controversy, and then I actually had a couple of guys who fought. Not me personally. I trained the guys at the gym, so it was cool to kind of see them fight. So we'll go over that stuff. New UFC news. Gonna go over some bare knuckle just because it's Paige Van Zandt, and we'll talk about that. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah. So this past weekend we had UFC Fight Night. It was headlined by TJ Dillishaw and Corey Sandhagen. This card overall could be summed up by controversy, to say the least. And it was a comeback card kind of night. Everybody who won theoretically won on a comeback if you were, scoring it that way or watching the fight from the beginning. There was a lot of bad decisions, and I wasn't. We'll get to the end and we'll talk about those. But the first fight I want to talk about was my guy Randy Costa versus Adrian Yanez. Randy unfortunately lost, but he looked fucking good in the first round. He came out firing on all cylinders. He was using his jab. He pieced up Yanez, cut him early. I think he busted his nose up, and he was easily winning that first round. He said he got caught with something in the liver at the end of the first round, and then he kind of just shelled up at the beginning or like midway through the second round, and then got clipped with an uppercut and went down, and that was the fight. Randy's got a lot of potential. I'm definitely excited to see him. Yanez looked a lot better than the last time I saw him. But definitely Randy, I think he's got a big future ahead of him, and I'm definitely excited to keep watching him. But Yanez earned the win, looked really good, and I'm definitely excited to see what he does, especially in that division, because that division's starting to heat up as well, which is the 135 division. So the next guy we had was Brendan Allen versus Puna Hele Soriano, and his nickname is Puna, something like that. Brendan Allen looked like a top 5 fighter in the middleweight division, and I'm not just saying that because I train him. He looked good. He was great on the feet. He took some shots, and this guy Soriano's got a big right hand, and that's really all he had. It looked like he was looking for that knockout early, and Brendan had the perfect game plan. He kept hitting this dude with kicks to the stomach, and I don't know if that was Jason's idea, his coach, one of his striking coaches, the guy who was in his corner, but that was a perfect game plan. He came out hitting him in the stomach early, and then those kicks just added up, and you could see midway through the second round, Soriano was gassed, and he was breathing out of his mouth. He was moving slow. His hands were lowering, and Brendan Allen was piecing him up. Brendan is usually, I don't want to say usually known for his ground game, but like he likes to go to the ground, and I don't even think he attempted a takedown the entire fight. So seeing the improvement that he had on his hand or on his feet, with his hands was huge, and he called out, I think, Sean Strickland, who he lost to already and who's fighting this weekend. So I'd love to see that fight. I think Brendan should be aiming a little bit higher. He looks really good. But we'll see what happens, and I'm excited to see what happens for him in the future. It was a great fight. He showed out, so he's going to be one to keep your eye on moving forward. After that, we had the first controversial card of the night, or fight of the night, I should say. Macy Barber versus Miranda Maverick. It was a weird fight because Macy Barber's coming off of 2 losses, and I don't think she performed as well as she needed to. And she got the win last night. She didn't perform as well as she needed to last time, and I think she needed to come out and actually make a statement to show that she's actually like the quote unquote the future, which is her nickname. And I don't think she did at all. I think she got dominated a lot by Maverick. The only thing I saw here that led me to believe that Barber would have won was she was aggressive towards the end. In the 3rd round, she was aggressive. But Maverick couldn't really get inside on her and hit her. But other than that, she didn't get a lot of good, clean shots in. But if you watch that fight, and I think everybody who watched that fight, even Cormier was saying it on the broadcast, I think it was 2 rounds to 1 easily for Maverick. And I think you could have made the argument that it was 3 rounds to 0 for Maverick. So for Macy Barber to win that fight, I don't think it was a great decision on the judges' part. And I wasn't sure what they were watching the whole night, because the fight before that, which I didn't pick, was Kyler Phillips versus Raulian Paiva. And that was another odd decision. I thought that, I know Kyler Phillips got knocked around the 2nd round, but Paiva, he got hit hard. I think I don't think he won that fight either. Like I said, this whole card was really odd with the judges' scorecards, and they just I don't know that they were watching the same fights as everybody else, because Macy Barber, I think she did well. I think she definitely had a better fight as opposed to her last fight, because she was aggressive with her hands. She was going for takedowns. She had a lot of advantageous positions, but she didn't really do a lot with the positions on the ground. And when she did get there, she kind of got I wouldn't say manhandled, but she got pushed around on the ground. So whatever happens, I think Macy Barber is a big enough name that, they maybe wanted to push her. Whatever happened, I don't know. But, Macy Barber's coming up now. She got that win back on her belt, and I'll be excited to see what she's going to do next. I don't remember what they asked her after the fight or what she's looking to do, but I'm sure they're going to put her up against somebody who's going to give her another test, because I think after this fight, she needs to go out, and she needs, again, like a convincing win for me to say that. I guess she got the win, so it doesn't really matter. There's nothing to say anymore. But I think whoever they put against her could hurt her. So we'll see what happens there. Then the last fight of the night. So this was capped by, again, with another weird judging decision. Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillishaw. This is Dillishaw's first fight back from a 2-year suspension from being on steroids. He got popped after his last title fight, and he was on EPOs, and there's a lot of back and forth as to whether, he should even be back, and a lot that went on with him, and he was in the spotlight for a lot of reasons, one being with Connor, the other being with leaving Team Alpha Male, who he was on before with Uriah Faber and Cody Garbrandt, and a lot of his title defense and all that stuff was very very much in the news because of like how he went about it, and he left his team to go to a different coach, and he got better. And I don't think there should ever be a knock on somebody for leaving for a better situation if they think it's going to be a better situation. But I wasn't a fan of him getting popped for steroids. So him coming back, I wasn't necessarily rooting for the guy. I think he's a good fighter. And Sandhagen's shown a lot the last couple of fights. And this was the confused fight. If you look at that fight at the end of the fight, and you look at TJ Dillashaw and you look at Corey Sandhagen, I don't know if you watched this at all, but
it was some bullshit.
Yeah,
Sandhagen beat the fucking shit out of him.
Dillashaw was cut, bloodied, didn't look at the end of the fight as if he won the fight. And Sandhagen, looked in control, was clean, didn't have anything on his face, and they gave the decision to Dillashaw. Now, I will say this. I am not upset with the decision because I think that Dillishaw did enough the entire fight moving forward. And I think that Sandhagen, and if there was anything that.
What did he do? So explain this to me because I don't understand. Other than Dillashaw had all those takedowns,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know that those are scored, but what I saw was Dillashaw getting these takedowns and then Sandhagen recovering very quickly off just about every single one of them, right? And then getting back on his feet, and then continuing to pop them. So I don't. To me, that's the scores don't make sense. That decision doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think so. I thinking about the fight after, I think that Dillashaw showed a lot after getting fucking popped coming back. Like not popped in steroids, but like he got cut, he got destroyed, he got kneed in the face. And I think that he did a lot. And I think we've talked about this in boxing is like, I think Dillashaw controlled the pace of the fight, the entire fight. And I think that Sandhagen was fighting off his back foot a lot. And he looked good still doing it. But I think that Dillashaw was given a lot of pressure the entire fight. No matter what he was moving forward, I think he reacted well once he got hit. And I think he gave Sandhagen a lot back. I don't necessarily think that TJ, and the other thing is he was always moving into advantageous positions. And I think that was something that they saw. And I don't know how many takedowns he specifically got, but a lot of the time when he did push forward, he ended up on Sandhagen's back and he did it with relative ease, to be honest. Yeah. And like I said, I think TJ was pushing forward a lot. Sandhagen was fighting by stepping back a lot, and Dillashaw was really controlling the fight, even when he was getting touched up.
Well, he was controlling, like you said, he was controlling the pace.
Yeah,
I don't know that he was controlling the actual fight.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like Sandhagen was pretty comfortable moving back and moving laterally.
And it looked like
he was fucking lean. He landed a ton of shots on him.
Yeah. And Dillashaw was getting tagged, and like I said, it looked, I guess I'm not totally upset with it because of how TJ handled the whole fight, because he definitely
of the pressure.
I guess.
I mean, I could see that. So he put on pressure the whole. Okay.
The pressure, he did hit Sandhagen. He got him. I wouldn't say as many times, but he got him a couple times. And like again with the positions of wrestling, he did get some takedowns. Even if Sandhagen did get up, they are takedowns. In my eyes, Sandhagen did get bodied a little bit in the fight. Like he did get taken down. He did look a little bit sloppy. He was trying to be a little bit flashy like I thought he was going to be. And it did cost him a couple times. And I think that also could have been it, because there's a couple times that Sandhagen tried to do like some crazy kicks and some crazy punches and reverse punches and whatnot. And every time he did that, Dillashaw read it like a book and took him down or dodged it and then just took him down right after. And Dillashaw definitely had a couple clean takedowns that he timed like on the money. Like it was.
So hold on. I'm looking at the fight stats right now. Okay. Sandhagen landed 128 significant strikes to TJ's 110.
Okay.
He landed 171 total strikes to TJ's 169. TJ Dillashaw had 2 successful takedowns, according to this, out of 19.
Okay. They must have not counted some of those as takedowns.
So how the fuck? Bro, like the numbers say that Sandhagen won clearly. He was more accurate. 45% of his shots landed to Dillashaw's 41. I don't know.
Yeah. No, like I said, I think
Sandhagen, it looked to me, again, from a guy who is used to watching guys stand up and land shots and counter shots, it looked to me like TJ Dillashaw got the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me.
And I think Sandhagen should have won that fight. Now, like I said, I saw enough what did I say? I think Sandhagen should have won that fight. Sorry. I don't know. I think I said that. But I think Sandhagen should have won that fight. But after watching the fight, I think Dillashaw did enough of like the moving forward and the pressuring him. And I think he kind of a little bit and enough pushed Sandhagen around and like forced the tempo enough to make that fight look different than it should have been. And I think with with the way that the judges scored the entire night, and seeing as there was a lot of fucking controversy within the other couple fights that were there, it looked like they were coming for the comeback story. Like every single fight was the person who came back or started the fight. Besides Costa's fight, who was a TKO in the second round, every other fight was like a comeback winner. The guy who
are these people though that judge these fights?
I don't know.
Again, like I said about the boxing judges, you shouldn't be judging the shit if you never fought before. Like what they're looking for a comeback story. And again, okay, so I guess TJ Dillishaw, he was pressuring him. I guess if you're a judge, it's like, hey man, he was pushing this guy around and moving him around. Okay, maybe. Yeah. But I mean, if you know anything about fighting, you got to use and your eyeballs are functioning. I mean, this dude got the shit beat out of him, bro.
And that's the other thing. Is like for me, it's tough watching that, because like that was, I don't think by any means any of the judge. I don't think the judges picked one single decision right the entire night. Like I think every single decision they were, well, except for Elkins, but.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't the scores two of them had at 49-47 for TJ, and then one had at 49-47 for Sandhagen?
It was. Let me see if I can find the actual scores, but it was.
Because that's fucking weird. How are those three judges so far off?
I don't know. I mean, I think the biggest thing was. Let me see. Judges score. Let's see, official scorecard. I need a Jamie. Yo, Jamie, pull this up. All right, so Derek Clearly, who probably should have his, Clearly. Okay, so Derek Clearly picked the fight 48-47 in favor of Sandhagen, which, again, I still think Sandhagen won more than just one. So they're saying, so Derek Clearly said that it was 3-2 in terms of Sandhagen. Sal D'Amato said it was 3-2 in terms of Dillishaw, which was 48-47. And then Junchiro Kamiho said it was 3-2 in favor of Dillishaw, 48-47. So it was unanimous the first round. The second round, it was unanimous for Sandhagen. The third round was unanimous for Dillishaw. The fourth round, Cleary and D'Amato picked for Sandhagen, and Kamiho picked for Dillishaw. And then the fifth round, Clearly picked for Sandhagen, and the other two picked for Dillishaw. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't disagree with it either, because I did see a lot of, like, I guess, heart out of Dillishaw, and I don't know. But I think Dillishaw, again, I think this was a push to get Dillishaw into the title race, because there's a lot of good fights to be made with Dillishaw, and Sandhagen.
Let me tell you this. For all the shit that Dana White talks about boxing and the politics and the corruption of boxing, that shit right there, like, oh, we want a comeback story, that's some bullshit.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
But it does seem that way, because again, TJ was a big name a few years ago. That's some garbage.
It is. Believe me, it is.
Because I'll tell you what, if Hart meant anything in terms of fucking scoring a fight, then that dude that Sean O'Malley beat the fucking shit out of would have won that fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Like I get, if Joe Rogan scored the fight, he would have won.
Yeah.
He was super impressed.
Oh man. But yeah, so again, I think this card was reeked of controversy. There's a lot going back that you see, but I think Sandhagen probably should have realized that going into this fight, that he should have went for the finish. I don't know that he didn't go for the finish, because Dillishaw was there the entire fight and he was getting pieced up. But it's just one of those things I think you got to watch out, because I think the judges going into that are looking for Sandhagen to prove that Dillishaw wasn't better. And I guess in the judges' eyes, he didn't do that enough. So whatever happens, Dillishaw is going to come. And again, now from this, there's a lot of big fights to be made with Dillishaw, and I'm more than assuming that was the reason why, because Cody Garbrandt's back into the picture. He wants a rematch with Dillashaw. Triple C's talking about, which is Henry Cejudo. He's talking about coming back and fighting Dillashaw again, who he already beat Dillashaw. Those are huge fights. Like, those are all huge fights that you don't get with Corey Sandhagen. That's all. But I'm excited to see what happens with Sandhagen. I think he's going to be a lot better because of this, and kind of like step his game up even more. Because I really think he was one of the best in the division. I think that, after this, he's going to realize, like, he's got to, you can't let the judges, sometimes you can't let the judges score it, because this is the shit that happens. This upcoming weekend, we got Uriah Hall's back in the ring. Last time he was out there was Chris Weidman broken leg night, which sucked. But Uriah Hall has been looking really good his last couple fights. I've been seeing a lot of his highlights because I've watched him before, but a lot of his highlights from his Contender Series days, and that dude was a savage, and he was just knocking people out with everything. And he's been one of those guys that have he's one of those dudes that they just hook on the potential. Is like, if this just had, he's like Blake Griffin or Ben Simmons. It's like, if he just had a jump shot, he'd be the best player in the league, but he just doesn't ever get the jump shot, and then he just falls off. But Uriah Hall seems to be putting the things together mentally and physically, and he's a scary fighter when he does. And he's fighting a dude, Sean Strickland, who is very good, is known for his like talking, and he's 23-3. He's had a good little run here, and I think he's won his, let me see. Oh, he fought Jocko. Oh, he beat Jocko. He's on a 3-fight win streak. 4-fight win streak. He's beaten some big names. He's beaten Brendan Allen. He beat Jocko, or one of our guys that we train, and he's about to fight Uriah Hall. Now, I think Uriah Hall is, again, I think he's a underdog in the middleweight division. I think with a win here, he's going to launch himself up, and he's 36, and I think that this is kind of his last chance to get himself a title shot. And I think he would be an exciting name to fight Izzy, because, again, after this Izzy fight, I don't really know where he's going to go, because he's basically fought everybody and beat everybody in the division already. So I could see Uriah Hall taking this win in style. I think he's going to knock him out in the second round, and I think he's going to put his name right up there in the division to fight Izzy. And I think that'll be a really exciting fight, because I think Uriah Hall, like I said, is one of the most underrated strikers in the UFC, because he's creative, he's strong, he's big, and I think that Izzy would have a lot of problems with him. But see what happens. I'm going to call a second round TKO. And so in other news, actually, let's talk about this, and then we'll talk about the other thing. So bare knuckle boxing, the basically OnlyFans fight of the night was Paige Van Zant versus Rachel Ostrovich. They paid Paige Van Zant, I think it was like $4 million or $1 million at least. I know that. And she had some ridiculous signing bonus. And she's lost 2 fights in bare knuckle boxing handily without anything. Like, there's no debate on either end. So Paige and Rachel fought in the UFC, I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago. And Paige beat her. And then what happened was Paige kind of got bodied in the UFC, beat a bunch of times. She left. And I don't know if you guys know Paige Van Zant, but she was like, I mean, a lot of people think she was only in the UFC because she's a good looking girl. There was a couple times that she had some good fights, but other than that, she was like a rag doll in the UFC. She got beat up a lot, and she kind of transitioned out, wasn't in anything for a little bit. She went to, I think she tried to go to ONE, or she went to some other promotion, ended up going to bare knuckle boxing, which is a weird shift for her because she was never really like a boxer. And she made the transition strict into boxing, signed a huge deal with bare knuckle boxing. And it was like the biggest deal they've ever had. And she was like essentially going to be the face of it. She lost her first fight, got her ass whooped. Second fight against Rachel Ostrovich, it was her bare knuckle debut, got her ass beat again, and just didn't look good at all. And I don't know if you guys watch bare knuckle. I've been paying attention to a little bit because it's I went to a couple fights and a couple of the just paying attention to it, I guess, just because it's another fight sport. I'm not really a big fan of it, and I'm losing interest fast. But again, it was just a big name, something interesting to watch, and she got her ass whooped. I don't know if you saw it at all, but I think it's a disgrace to boxing. Let's just put it that way. Last little bit of news in the UFC. I'm excited for this fight. We got Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington, round 2, November. They're talking about this being in New York City at Madison Square Garden. I don't know exactly where it's going to be yet, but I think this is going to be the biggest fight of the year, and I'm predicting an upset. We'll get down to that when it comes in November.
And Usman's going to smash that dude.
I don't know.
That dude Covington, he can't fight, man.
I think
that dude's one of those dudes. They listen. He's tailor-made to get beat the fuck up by Usman. Usman is a pretty stiff dude. He reminds me. He's like a miniature version of fucking Ngannou, where he's just like so muscular that everything comes out super stiff, and they're easy to hit, but they carry a ton of power. So when you got a guy like Covington who doesn't fucking move at all, and he's known for getting out of fights with fucking his face fucked, he's tailor-made to get just his head fucking taken off. Yeah. That's what's gonna happen.
Well, listen, I think Covington,
and he's got short ass arms too.
Did you ever watch the first fight?
Yeah.
So that was one of the best fights I've ever seen, and I think honestly, going into the second round or the fifth round, it was 2-2. Obviously, Usman ended up winning that fight by just pure fucking grit, and he just started piecing up Covington, and I think Covington's jaw obviously got to him and things like that. But I really think it's going to be a different fight. I like what I saw from Covington the last couple fights, and I think he's. I'm just excited for it. I think it's going to be one of the best fights. He fought Tyron Woodley, and he.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He broke his rib or whatever he did, and basically tapped Woodley out.
Woodley does not look good.
But Covington's looked really good. So I'm definitely excited for this fight. I'm ready for it. I can't wait for it. But that's really it. No other big UFC news, except for Derek Lewis. So yeah, next week we got Derek Lewis, which I'm fucking hyped for.
I just found out like yesterday that Derek Lewis is 36.
Yeah, he's old, dude.
Damn, bro.
You have to be the UFC champion and fucking retire.
36 years old carrying around that weight like that. That's rough, bro.
Dude, I told you about the last interview he had, right? At the fight with Connor and Dustin.
I don't know.
Oh, they were like, so Derek, how you feeling right now? Like, how's the weight and everything? He's like, oh, I'm obese right now. He's like, I'm extremely obese. He's like, I'm almost 300 pounds. He's like, but we'll get there. They asked him about the belt, and he was like, so he got interviewed before maybe like a month and a half in May, actually, because I was home, I think, when I listened to the interview. They were asking him about like the championship and like his feelings about the belt and whatnot. And he's like, I don't care about the belt. Like, I don't know. He's like, I just want to fight. As long as they keep paying me, all right. He's like, I'll keep fighting. And then right after the Dustin fight, they interviewed him again. And he was like, well, last time I said I didn't care about the belt, but my manager told me that's not a good thing. He's like, so I'm so excited to fight for the belt. He's like, I can't wait. He's like, I'm going to win it. And he was like, I hope that was good. And then he just stopped talking about it. I see Derek Lewis as like the story of the kid who accidentally like goes to the Olympics, or like, you ever hear, like, I don't know. There's a story specifically in my head, but he kind of like mistakes himself into the like biggest point ever. Just kind of, I just love it. I love it. And I think Derek Lewis is hilarious. And I think he's a good fighter too. He's not a bad fighter. Like, I think he's a very good fighter. He's just sloppy and he's just lazy. And, but he's got, I think they said he hits the hardest in the UFC, like out of anybody. And you've seen that his last couple fights. So, and I think this fight coming up we'll talk about it next weekend, but this is going to be easily his toughest fight, because I think Cyril Gane is.
That's a good fight.
He can.
I think some highlights and shit.
He can do everything at his size. He can grapple. He can kick. He can punch. He can move. He moves like a middleweight, and he's 200 and whatever pounds. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And I really think, honestly, I think whoever wins this will be Ngannou without question. I think it's just this is for the interim belt. but whoever fights Ngannou is going to beat Ngannou. So I'm excited to see it. But other than that, there's nothing else. We'll get into the boxing, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, I can't even remember who I picked last week for Joe Joyce and Carlos Takam fought. I think I went on a limb and picked.
I don't even have it written down. So.
I don't know. Anyway, I wasn't fucking too enthused about the fight overall. Joe Joyce got a 7th round TKO, but bro, this guy he's got the slowest hands I've ever seen in my life. And they're talking about him possibly getting a fight with Joshua or Fury down the road. And it's one of these things where honestly, it just seems like a waste of time. Like, who gives a shit? He's just so slow, and he's a big lumbering dummy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. 6'6", 260 pounds. Just like, guy, dude, his punches are so slow. I can't believe anyone ever gets hit with them. That's how slow he punches. It's so, I don't know. Anyway, in a lackluster fight, Joe Joyce got a TKO and stayed undefeated, and no one gave a fuck. So this weekend, Conor Benn's fighting again. Again, he's fighting Adrian Granados. Like, who gives a shit? Soon, Conor Benn keeps beating these guys. You know, we'll hear his name up there with some of the other welterweights, and hopefully he'll get a fight that is actually interesting because he can fight. So I fully expect Conor Benn to win. I'm not going to break it down though, but that fight's on this weekend. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot going on. Like, that card that he's on is weak.
Should have been Tyson Fury and Wilder.
Yeah. Campbell Hatton is fighting again on that undercard. So he's exciting. Again, he's fighting straight bums right now, and he doesn't even know how to control himself yet, but it's exciting to watch him go out there and fucking throw his hands like a maniac.
Yeah.
But there's news though. Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter have been ordered to fight. They got 30 days to finalize a deal, which I fully expect to get done. Terrence Crawford is going to fucking mop him up. You know, I like Sean Porter. He's a really good fighter. Huh?
Why are they ordered to fight? I feel like that's a very bad matchup.
I think because I think Sean Porter's a mandatory, or you know, so he's got some of those like meaningless belts or something. Okay. Yeah, he's got one of those meaningless belts, I think, and that's why he's ordered. Crawford's gonna fuck him up. Then just yesterday, Jojo Diaz and Bill Haney verbally agreed to make Jojo Diaz versus Devin Haney in October and November. Again, it's a verbal agreement, doesn't really mean much, but it's cool. At least it's a start. That puts to bed any rumors that Ryan Garcia and Jojo Diaz are going to fight. According to Jojo Diaz, Ryan Garcia is a bitch and he makes shit up. He said that he's like, you could put as much stock in Ryan Garcia trying to fight me as Ryan Garcia when he said that he was going to fight Manny Pacquiao. He's like, it ain't going to happen. He's just saying stuff. Yeah. And then the other big news is that Canelo and Caleb Plant are finalizing a deal to fight September 18th, I think. And so, you know, second weeks of September, Canelo's going to be undisputed super middleweight champ.
I think it'll be an exciting fight build up.
Then it looks like he's going to move up to 175 and fight Bivol, which is fucking insane to me. But I mean, fuck it, you know. So there's some good fights coming up. Actually, starting in 2 weeks. From there, we got 3 good fights in August, and then September, October, November, and then no matter what happens with Canelo, he'll be fighting again in December. So it looks like for the rest of the year, we got we're gonna have at least one really good fight per month for the rest of the year.
Cool. All right. Yeah, the boxing's been a little bit light lately, guys, but we're keeping up with it. I'm giving you the good stuff. Not talking about these other, I don't know, just like meaningless stuff. But as always, if there's anybody you guys want us to look at, any fighters, fights, anything like that. Actually, no, that's in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Fucking Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
9th of August. But anyways, if there's anybody you want us to look at, check over, let us know. We'll check it out. And then just to recap this weekend, it's a light card. Not a lot of people I've seen before or I've watched enough to go, but I'm going to pick Uriah Hall with a second round TKO over Sean Strickland. And then Sean Strickland will probably fight Brendan Allen next, and Brendan Allen will probably piece him up and then go back to the middleweight, get ranked, and then go from there. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.